If quarterback is the most important position in football, then the guys who hunt them down might be second. As such, the Dallas Cowboys face a major off-season decision in 2019 when it comes to the free agency of defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence. This will be Lawrence's second year as an unrestricted free agent, with Dallas retaining him last season using the franchise tag. Even though he accepted it in 2018, DeMarcus swore all the way back in that summer that he wouldn't play for the Cowboys in 2019 if franchised again. Despite his sack numbers dropping a bit last season, Tank remains one of the top defensive ends in the NFL. He is a total package of pass rushing and run stopping, and he's now given Dallas 2 straight Pro Bowl seasons. If the Cowboys have any plans to contend for a championship next season, then they can't risk losing a player like Lawrence. We've seen what this defense looks like without a premier pass rusher, and it isn't pretty. Of course, Dallas could try to replace DeMarcus with a different free agent signing. If Jadeveon Clowney or Frank Clark avoid being tagged by their own teams, perhaps the Cowboys can lure one of them over. But don't expect any big difference in compensation between these 3 players. Whether it's Lawrence or one of the other premier pass rushers in free agency, you can expect the Cowboys to make one of them their top off-season priority. The greater mystery is if Dallas will make any other moves to upgrade the position, or stick with what they've got. Dallas Cowboys to Randy Gregory. Dallas finally enjoyed some real production out of Randy Gregory in 2018, whose personal issues nearly derailed the talented pass rusher's career. Gregory posted 6 sacks last season and was starting to look like the Robin to Lawrence's Batman. Also in the mix is 2017 first-round pick Taco Charlton, who took a backward step last year and seemed to be in the coach's doghouse by season's end. Motivation and attitude seem to be an issue for him, and he'll need to step it up this summer if he doesn't want to wind up at the back of the depth chart again. One of last year's 4th-round picks Dorance Armstrong also returns. He will hopefully be ready to take on a larger role in his second season and provide another pass-rushing threat, plus insurance in case Gregory suffers any return of past problems. If Dallas doesn't make Tyrone Crawford a salary cap casualty, or chooses to re-sign David Irving, those are 2 other guys who can play some defensive end for you. Despite these options, the Cowboys could still look at adding another mid-grade free agent for depth and insurance. They could hope for a bargain on veterans like Ezekiel Ansah, Vinny Curry, or Chris Long. They might hope that Rod Marinelli could work his magic on first-round flop Dante Fowler. Another guy that Dallas might look at is Benson Mayowa, who was with them from 2016-2017 and is a solid player. He spent the last season in Arizona on a 1-year deal and is still just 27 years old. Don't expect much from the draft, barring a major steal presenting itself. The Cowboys have bigger needs with their limited number of 2019 picks, and they also still need to see how recent selections like Charlton and Armstrong play out. This offseason is all about DeMarcus Lawrence, or at least one of the other marquee free agents at defensive end. Some supplemental moves are possible, but arguably the biggest move Dallas makes the next few months is either retaining or replacing their top pass rusher. 2019 offseason defensive end. The Dallas Cowboys offseason should be approached like a puzzle. You have to know what the picture looks like beforehand before you start grabbing random pieces to try to fit them together. Keeping that in mind, I thought it'd be a good idea if we take a look at the Cowboys' offense and defense to try to determine which one needs the most attention. It may be somewhat surprising, but the Dallas Cowboys pretty much have the entire puzzle almost put together. There is just a few missing pieces they need add, but for the most part the team that will take the field when the 2019 season kicks off is already in place. There isn't going to be much roster turnover this offseason. Nearly all of the starters will return for the upcoming season on both sides of the ball, meaning the Cowboys are in good shape as far as having the team's nucleus in place. In fact, there might be just one or two starting positions up for grabs on offense and defense. Let's take a look. Dallas Cowboys offense. Dallas Cowboys OC Kellen Moore. As things stand right now, before any moves are made in free agency or through the draft, the Dallas Cowboys offense may have just two starting spots up for grabs. But even that's just a guesstimate because we still don't really know what the future holds for center Travis Frederick, even though all signs point to him making a triumphant return to the starting lineup. The way I see it though, the Cowboys will need to find someone to replace Cole Beasley in the passing game and also add a starting caliber tight end. That's it really as far as the starters are concerned. There is however need for more depth at several positions such as backup running back, offensive tackle, but those aren't necessarily needs. I'd say they're in pretty good shape offensively compared to years past. Dallas Cowboys defense. Dallas Cowboys assistant coach Chris Richards. Surprisingly enough, the Dallas Cowboys really don't have any glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball either. After finishing as one of the top defensive units in 2018, they will have nearly all of their starters returning for the 2019 season. But much like on the offensive side of the ball, there could be two starting spots up for grabs. The Cowboys will have to find someone to replace Damian Wilson as the starting strong side linebacker and potentially a new starting strong safety. That's really the only starting positions I believe are up for grabs on defense. But like the offense, they could stand to add more depth and competition throughout the defense, especially along the defensive line. But again, there really isn't a glaring need they absolutely have to address. Verdict: Cowboys offense. Dallas Cowboys QB Dak Prescott. Photo by Tom Pennington, Getty Images. Even though the Dallas Cowboys offense and defense seems to be pretty evenly matched as to how many starting positions are up for grabs, the offense looks to be the one that needs just a little bit more help. The defense proved in 2018 they are someone to be reckoned with, and with the loss of just Damian Wilson, that shouldn't change. The same can't be said about the offense though. If Cole Beasley does indeed leave via free agency, that's a big blow to the passing game. But it's not just him. Other than the rushing attack, the Cowboys' offense was ranked in the bottom half of the league in nearly every other category. With offensive coordinator Scott Linehan now gone, we can hope that improves, but that doesn't mean improving the offense shouldn't be the Cowboys' main off-season focus though. Of course, this is just my opinion and you are more than welcome to agree or disagree with it. When the free agency and NFL draft ball finally starts rolling, I expect most of the Cowboys' off-season moves to be on the offensive side of the ball. Improving things around quarterback Dak Prescott would seem like the wise thing to do after all, especially since he's about to be paid quite handsomely. Which side of the ball do you think needs more help this offseason? Gary A. Vasquez. USA Today Sports. The Dallas Cowboys have plenty of work to do to restock and refine their roster in the hope of improving of last year's playoff run. We'll be looking at all of the 2019 needs for this offseason in the coming days, and we're going to start with paramount position of quarterback. Unlike most spots on the team, the quarterbacks don't have anyone with an expiring contract this year. Both Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush will be in the final year of their deals, while Mike White still has 3 years left on his rookie contract. Despite this, Prescott's contract is still one of the hottest issues the Cowboys face this offseason. They must decide if they want to go ahead and lock him up now to a long-term extension, or wait and see how Dak performs in his fourth season. It's a real dilemma for Dallas. On the one hand, Prescott already has 2 Pro Bowls, 2 division titles, and all winning seasons on his 3-year resume. However, he's also had ongoing accuracy issues and problems with consistent productivity in an increasingly pass-focused league. Given what he's already accomplished, Dak can command a pretty sizable contract in current negotiations. Just within the week he's already commented on not planning to give the Cowboys a discount in his next deal. If Dallas waits another year, then they risk that price tag going up. They could be competing with the open market, or what if Prescott leads the team to the NFC Championship or beyond in 2019. If Doc's camp is already going to be aggressive in contract negotiations this year, then there's a case to be made for just waiting. Let him play on his bargain $2.14 million cap hit and use the savings to load up on talent for a championship run. The team will still have resources to re-sign Prescott in 2020, or even franchise tag him, if that's their choice. Dallas Cowboys QB Mike White. However that situation goes, we know that Doc is the starter in 2019. But even though Cooper Rush and Mike White are both due to return next season, should the Cowboys be satisfied with that QB depth chart? As I wrote about earlier this week, Dallas has good reason to look at adding a veteran passer to the mix this offseason. If Rush and White beat them out, that's great. But if not, it adds an experienced voice to help Dak Prescott in this critical upcoming year. You can go a few different ways. Some of the projected free agents can match Prescott's mobile style, such as Tyrod Taylor, Trevor Seaman, or Robert Griffin III. Others give you the experience edge, such as Ryan Fitzpatrick, Josh McCown, or Matt Schaub. It doesn't seem likely that the Cowboys would draft another QB after just taking Mike White last year with a 5th-round pick. Unless they are moving to a completely different philosophy, Dallas will likely give White at least another year or two to develop as a mid-round selection. Ideally, at least one of White or Cooper Rush will show some growth this year and inspire confidence as the immediate backup. But adding a veteran for competition certainly couldn't hurt, and Dallas has the cap space to do it. Thankfully, everything that Dallas might have to do this offseason at quarterback is optional. They can choose whether or not to redo Prescott's contract, or whether or not to pursue upgrades behind him. There is no gaping hole being created by a potential free agent departure. Cowboys have the power now, but that can quickly change next season once Doc's a free agent. That's why they still have a big decision to make in 2019. With a report coming out of Philadelphia that the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to be offering a contract to Golden Tate prior to the start of NFL free agency on March 13, there have been many in Cowboys Nation clamoring for the former Detroit Lions wide receiver to be a free agent target for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys may have a need in the slot in 2019, with speculation raging about the future of Cole Beasley with the Dallas Cowboys. It's possible that Golden Tate could fill that void if Beasley were to depart. Here's my internal debate about why the Cowboys should and shouldn't pursue him. Why the Cowboys could pursue Golden Tate need other than Amari Cooper. The Dallas Cowboys don't have a player on the roster for 2019 that has any extensive experience working out of the slot in the NFL. Cole Beasley's potential departure leaves a hole on the wide receiver depth chart. Dak Prescott loves Cole Beasley. When he was able to run the offense the way he wanted to, Beasley flourished. Doc enjoys the benefits of a good slot receiver because he likes to throw the ball on crossing routes over the middle of the field. Golden Tate could be that guy. Golden Tate has long been one of the best in the NFL with running routes out of the slot. Per Pro Football Focus, in 2018, Golden Tate had 49 receptions in the slot, which ranks him tied for 10th in the NFL with Larry Fitzgerald. His 504 yards from the slot ranked 16th in the NFL, which was only 63% of his receiving yards on the season. On the season, he had 3 of his 7 touchdowns in the slot, good for 16th in the NFL. Productive as I mentioned above, Tate has been one of the best slot receivers in the NFL, and has also been effective on the outside as well. Prior to this last season, where he was traded mid-season from Detroit to Philadelphia, Tate had recorded 90-catch seasons in each of the previous 4 seasons. With Detroit those 4 years, he had at least 1,000 yards and he's averaged 4.2 receiving touchdowns since his second year in Seattle. Golden Tate's price point could drop heading into free agency. He was supposed to be a player that helped Philadelphia get over the hump in the NFC East, but he didn't work out. There's a good chance that Tate finds the market for his services to be pretty shallow, given this is a decent draft for slot wide receivers. NFL teams could opt to draft an Andy Isabella or Deebo Samuel in the second or third round as opposed to pay Tate for 2 to 3 years in the twilight of his career. Why the Cowboys won't pursue Golden Tate age. The Dallas Cowboys aren't typically a team that is going to pay an aging player. If Cole Beasley doesn't resign a deal with the Dallas Cowboys, it won't be because of the money or the opportunity, it will be because Dallas declined to pay age. Golden Tate will turn 31 in August as he enters his 10th season in the NFL. Tate has now played 137 games. Players don't usually get better with age. Free agency and the draft. As I mentioned above, this is a decent draft class for wide receivers, especially those who operate or could operate in the slot. The Dallas Cowboys have shown for much of the last decade that their preferred avenue of team building is through the draft. They'd rather take a guy like Isabella or Samuel in the second or third round and have his rights on a rookie deal for the next 4 years. Golden Tate doesn't fit the Cowboys' free agency MO. When they pursue players in free agency, it's the young players with a solid to elite trait that have yet to prove themselves, or it's the veteran who has had some nice years in the NFL that's in their mid-20s that is coming off of a down year. Like Allen Hurns. If the Cowboys are going to go into free agency to replace their star slot receiver, it's going to be with someone who is younger and may not be as proven as Beasley or Tate. In summary, the Dallas Cowboys aren't going to target Golden Tate in free agency. Why do that when they could resign a player they like and know in Cole Beasley, or draft someone and have them under team control on a rookie contract for the next 4 years? There are a lot of players who have done a lot in this league that are going to be released or not extended in the next few weeks. Some of them should be names of interest to the Dallas Cowboys, but many of them will be just names. Free agency is less than a month away, so make sure you continue to come by InsideTheStar.com for all the latest on Cowboys free agency.